Once you understand what pattern your body is running, everything starts to make more sense. Today, I'm walking you through the 3 gut patterns I see most often in women who are doing a lot, holding a lot, and pushing through more stress than they realize. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Body Rhythm. Tell me if this sounds like you. You're eating well, you've cleaned things up, maybe you cut something out, gluten, dairy, sugar, whatever the last thing was that someone told you might be the problem, and your digestion is still off. Not catastrophically off, not call the doctor off, just unpredictable. Bloated when you shouldn't be, tired after you eat, sensitive to things that never used to bother you. You're fine one week, reactive the next. And the really frustrating part, you can't find the pattern. But here's what I want you to hear today. There is a pattern. You just might be looking in the wrong place for it. Because what I've seen again and again and again in my work with women is that gut issues aren't usually a food problem at its root. It's a nervous system problem. And once you understand what pattern your body is running, everything starts to make more sense. Today, I'm walking you through the 3 gut patterns I see most often in women who are doing a lot, holding a lot, and pushing through more stress than they realize. And I'd be willing to bet you'll recognize yourself in at least one of these patterns. Before I go there, I want to say something that I hope you'll carry with you through this whole episode. Your body is not working against you. I know it can feel that way. I know there's something particularly demoralizing about eating carefully, making all the effort, and still feeling uncomfortable in your own body. It can start to feel personal, like your body is rejecting you, but it isn't. Your body is following a pattern, a very logical one, actually. And when you understand the pattern, you stop fighting your body and you start working with it instead. That's the whole philosophy behind this show, rhythm over rules, because your body doesn't need more rules. It needs to feel safe enough to function the way it was designed to. Okay, let's get to it. The first gut pattern I call the on-the-go pattern. And here's what to know if this is you. You're always moving. You eat quickly. You stand eating at the counter or over the sink or at your desk while you finish one more thing. Breakfast is something you grab on the way out. Lunch is whatever you can get in before the next meeting. You're efficient, capable. You keep things moving. And you probably don't think of yourself as stressed. You probably think of yourself as busy. And you are. But here's what I want you to know. To your nervous system, busy and stressed feel exactly the same. I actually learned to see this pattern through food long before I could explain the science behind it. I started noticing that I could often tell what someone's nervous system was doing, what state it was in, just by looking at the food they were eating. Someone in this pattern tends to reach for things like bars, Lara bars, anyone? Cereal, yogurt on the go, light scattered meals, eating on the run, standing while eating. These aren't random choices. They're expressions of what is happening internally. The body is in motion, so the food choices are in motion. The nervous system is mobilized, and so the eating reflects that same energy. Quick, scattered, and functional. In Ayurveda, we call this a Vata type pattern. And Vata governs movement. And when it's out of balance, everything, including digestion, becomes irregular and ungrounded. But you don't need to know about Vata or Ayurveda for this to land and to make sense for you. You just need to recognize the picture. The symptoms this pattern creates are so common that women have just accepted them as normal. Heaviness after meals, bloating, low energy after eating, the afternoon crash that sends you reaching for caffeine or perhaps a sweet treat. Irregular digestion, constipated one day, not the next, perhaps constipation one day, and loose stools the next. And the underlying reason isn't the food. It's whether your body has the space to digest. Because here's what's happening physiologically. When your nervous system is activated, when you're in go mode, solve mode, manage everything mode, your body deprioritizes digestion. Your blood flow gets redirected to deal with whatever the stress is, whatever the perceived threat your body thinks is there. Digestive enzymes don't fire the way they should, and your body is doing what it's built to do, keeping you moving, keeping you safe, keeping you functioning, handling the threat in front of you. The problem is that if that mode is your constant baseline, digestion never fully comes back online. So if this is your pattern, if you eat quickly, eat on the go, and feel like your digestion is just kind of unreliable, I want you to try one thing. I want you to try sitting down to eat, even for 5 minutes. Before you open your laptop or check your phone or talk through that thing on your mind, just sit, take a breath, and let your body know we're eating now. This is what tells your nervous system it can shift out of high gear and actually run digestion the way it's meant to. It sounds simple, I know, but simple, repeated consistency, that's what begins to create change. That's what begins to change your digestion. The second pattern is what I call the wellness investigator. And if this is you, you've tried a lot of things. You've done the elimination diets, you've tested for food sensitivities, you've tracked your symptoms, you've done the research, you've probably tried all the supplements and are looking for the next one. You've tried different eating windows, different approaches, and you know a lot about gut health, more than most people. And you've had some wins, maybe. You felt better for a while, but the issues keep coming back. And there's something that might haunt you a little, which is this. Your tests come back normal. Everything looks fine on paper, and yet your body says otherwise. This one is particularly hard because if the tests are normal, then what is it? And if you've tried everything, then what's left? And this can really get difficult to live with. But here's what I want to say to that. You are not imagining it, and you are not the problem. What's more likely is that the solution everyone has been looking for is upstream of the gut entirely. The digestive symptoms and the anxiety, the urgency before a stressful event, the flare when you're overwhelmed, the way everything gets worse when you're under pressure. Those are not separate issues. They are both being shaped by the same thing, your nervous system. There's a whole field of research now around the gut-brain axis, the bidirectional communication between your gut and your brain. And what it tells us is this, that your gut doesn't just receive instructions from your brain, it sends them back. Your gut has its own nervous system, sometimes called the enteric nervous system or the second brain, and it is so sensitive, and it responds to threat, to overwhelm, to unresolved stress in very, very physical ways. This is why stress-triggered flares are so common. This is why the anticipation of something difficult can send your digestion into chaos before the event even happens. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're anxious about something and you just can't eat. Or maybe it's the opposite. You're anxious about something and you're just eating whatever you can. But here's what's happening. Your gut is reading the room. It's registering the state of your nervous system. And the symptoms of this pattern often include unpredictable digestion, things that seem to come and go with no food connection, stress-triggered flares, a heightened body awareness. You tend to notice every sensation, and that vigilance can amplify your discomfort. And the answer here isn't more information. It isn't another elimination diet or another fad diet or another test. It's helping your body feel safe again, which I know sounds so vague when you're someone who wants to solve things because you're the problem solver. But what this actually looks like in practice is nervous system support before and during meals. And one thing that makes a real difference is a pause before you eat, even 3 slow breaths before you take a bite, not as a ritual for its own sake, but as a signal to your nervous system that the threat has passed, that the stressor has passed, that you're okay, that you can digest. And the 3-breath pause sounds like nothing, maybe. And it is if you do it once. But if you do it every single time you sit down to eat, it starts to rewire the pattern. It teaches your body that eating is safe, that it can afford to rest and digest. And maybe it's not a 3-breath pause that you do. Perhaps it's a prayer or thanks of gratitude for the meal. Or perhaps it's just closing your eyes for a few seconds and inhaling the smell of the meal. All of these signal to your nervous system that it's safe, that it can move from fight or flight to rest or digest and send your body resources back to digestion. The third pattern is one that might frustrate you the most to hear. Because if this is you, you're doing everything right. You eat clean, you avoid processed food, you probably know which foods are inflammatory. You might have cut out several things that you heard were problematic. You're careful, you're thoughtful, you've put in real effort, and yet you're still bloated and still sensitive and still confused about why your healthy eating isn't translating to a body that feels good. And I want to share something with you that shifted how I think about this entirely, and it came from a client. She came to me eating very carefully. Her goal was she wanted to lose weight, and so for years, she had been skipping breakfast, having salads for lunch, baked chicken, maybe some vegetables for dinner. Very little, very clean, and she wasn't losing weight. She wasn't feeling well, and she was doing less and less and less and still feeling off. And when I looked at the full picture of what she was eating, how much, the rhythm of it, something became very clear. She wasn't eating enough and her body knew it. So I told her to eat more. And we created a rhythm around that, which I know might sound a bit counterintuitive. But here's what was happening. When her body wasn't receiving enough nourishment consistently, it was reading that as a threat, as scarcity. And a body that feels threatened does not run digestion well. It can't afford to. It's prioritizing survival, it doesn't know when its next meal is going to be. In Ayurveda, we talk about Agni, your digestive fire. And your digestive fire needs fuel to stay strong. When you undereat, especially in erratic patterns, your Agni weakens. And what you do eat doesn't get processed the way it should. It sits, it creates discomfort. It doesn't convert into the energy you're hoping for. So if we think about a fire, right? I live in Southern California and we have a lot of wildfires here. And the wildfires start, and then what happens, they get bigger when it has fuel to drive the fire. And when the fire runs out of fuel, the fire diminishes and then it goes out. The same thing is happening in your digestive system. When you are eating food regularly and nourishing foods, the body's digestive fire stays big and bright and hot to digest everything that you give it. And the less that you give it, that digestive fire begins to weaken. It's not as big, it's not as hot, and then it can't digest and burn up everything that you're giving it as efficiently. So for this client, we shifted her toward consistent meals, more nourishing meals, right? So she was eating a little bit more at breakfast. She was eating more at lunch. We took away some of the salads to give her some warm, moist foods. And then we upped what she was eating at dinner time, not just chicken, but adding things like some nice vegetables, some nice basmati rice, what were her favorite foods, and incorporating those, making sure everything was well spiced and had a nice oily quality to it. So maybe adding a little bit of olive oil, because before the chicken was just dry. There was no spicy to it, no oil. So we wanted to get some good fats in there, some good spicing in there to help increase the warmness and the digestibility of the foods. And over time, in about 6 months, she lost 25 pounds. And she couldn't believe it because it wasn't through restriction, it was through nourishment. And it wasn't because her body was broken. It was because her body finally felt safe enough to function. And here's the other piece of this pattern that's important. A lot of foods that are genuinely healthy are actually harder to digest, especially when your system is already taxed. Raw vegetables, cold foods, salads, smoothies, they require significant digestive energy to break down. And when your digestive fire is already low, this can create more discomfort, not less. Your body isn't rejecting your effort, it's exhausted by it. What your body may need isn't more restriction or more optimization or the next best diet. It actually might need warmth, simplicity, ease, moistness. One thing to try in this pattern is to swap one meal, just one, for something warm and cooked. A simple soup, cooked vegetables, warm grains. This gives your digestive system something it doesn't have to work so hard to break down. And then just begin to notice how that feels. All three of these patterns are different. The woman eating on the go, the woman who's tried everything, and the woman who is eating clean. But they share something. In all three, the gut issues aren't really about food. They're about the state of the nervous system, the state that it's in when the body is trying to digest. When your body is in a state of stress, whether that's visible, high-intensity stress, or the quieter, chronic version that comes from holding too much for too long, the body deprioritizes digestion every single time. That is not a flaw in your design. That is your body doing exactly what it's meant to do. And the problem for a lot of us is that the stress state has become our baseline. It's not dramatic, it's not crisis level, it's just the hum, the background noise. It's a body that never quite gets the signal that it can rest and digest. And when your body finally feels safe, when the nervous system has enough support, enough rhythm, enough signals that things are okay, digestion begins to work the way it was meant to. And that's the thing that no elimination diet addresses. That's the thing that no supplement or energy drink can fully fix. Because it's not a food problem at its source, it's a safety and support problem. And your body has a pattern, and that pattern is solvable. If you heard yourself in one of these patterns today, maybe one jumped out immediately, maybe you're somewhere between two of them, I want you to know that that is useful information. Because once you know your pattern, you stop guessing. You stop trying random things and hoping something sticks, right? You start supporting your body in the way it actually needs. And if you'd like help figuring out which pattern fits you, I have a simple quiz that walks you through it. You'll find a link in the show notes. You can also find it at chelseajohnsonayurveda.com/quiz. Your body usually knows before your brain does. And I'll leave you with this. Your body isn't working against you. It's communicating with you. And learning to listen, to really listen, is where everything begins to shift. Rhythm over rules. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to follow for weekly conversations on the nervous system, digestion, daily rhythm, and support that actually works with your unique patterns. I'll see you next week. That's it for this edition of The Body Rhythm. Thank you for joining me. Be well and nourished.